Subpart C, Oddities 300. Oddities responsibility. The Oddity shall identify its accounts, all federal awards received, expended for the federal programs under which they were received. The federal program and award identification shall include an applicable code, federal domestic assistance title, and number, award number of the year, the name of the federal agency, name of the pass through entity. Maintaining internal control over the federal program. The provisions provides a reasonable assurance to the auditee managing federal awards in compliance with the laws, regulations, provisions, and contract grants and agreements with a material effect on each of the federal programs. C, the comply with the laws, regulations, provisions, and contracts, grants, agreements related to each of its federal programs. Preparing appropriate financial statement, including the schedule of the expenditure of the federal awards in accordance with Section 310, ensuring that the audit is required for this part of the properly performed, submitted with the new of the Office of the extension of the report submission due date required in Section 320 are granted to the cognizant oversight of the agency audit, promptly notifying the Federal Clearinghouse designated office management budget ease pass through entity providing the federal awards with the extension, follow up take care of the corrective action on the auditing findings, including preparation of the summary schedule of the primary auditing findings, correctively action placed in accordance with Section 315B and 315C, respectively. 305 auditor selection. The auditor's procurement. In procuring an audit service, the auditee shall follow the procurement standards prescribed in the grant management common to the rules hereinafter referred into as Common A102 Common Rule, published in Section 1, published March 11th, 1988, amended in April 19th, 1995, inserted appropriate Code Federal Regulation Circular as A110, or uniform administrative requirements for the grants and agreements for the institution of higher education, hospitals, and other nonprofit organizations, or as the FARS 48 Code Federal Regulation Part 42 is an applicable management budgeting circulars are available in the Office of Administrative Publication Office of the Room 229 New Executive Office Buildings, Washington, D.C. D.C. 20503. Whenever the possible, auditee shall make a possible effort for the utilizing small business, minority-owned firms, women business enterprise, and improper procuring audited services as stated in 102 Common Rule of Office Management Circulars of A110 and of the FARS 48 Code Regulation Part 42 as applicable in requesting proposal for the audited service. The objectives and scope for the audit shall be made clear. The factors and the considering and evaluating each of the proposal for the audited services, including the responsive to the request for the proposal relevantly to the experience of the availability of the staff, of the professional qualifications, technical abilities, and the result to external quality control reviews and price. Restrictions for an auditor preparing indirect cost proposals. An auditor who prepares an indirect cost proposal cost allocation plan may not also be selected to perform the audit required by this part when the indirect costs recovered for the auditee during the prior year exceeds $1 million. The restriction applies to the basis the year used to the preparation for the indirect cost proper proposal of the cost allocation plan in any subsequent years, and which the resulting indirect of the cost arrangement for the cost allocation plan is used to recover the cost, minimizing any disruption in existing contracts for the audited service. The paragraph applies to the audited fiscal year beginning after the June 30th, 1998. Using the federal auditor, the federal auditor may perform all the part of the work required under this part if they comply with the fully requirements of this part. 310 financial statements. The auditee shall prepare with financial statement that reflects the financial position resulting of the operation, changing the net assets, whether the appropriate cash flow of the fiscal year audited. The financial statement shall be the same organizational unit the financial year was chosen to meet the requirements of this part. However, the organization-wide financial statement may also include departments, agencies, and other organizational units that have separate audits in accordance with Section 500A, preparing separate financial assistance schedule to the expenditures of federal awards. The auditee shall also prepare a schedule for the expenditures of the federal awards for the period of the covered by the auditee financial statements. While not required for the auditee, may choose to provide the information requested for the federal awarding agencies pass through the entities to make schedule easier to use. For the example, the federal program has multiple award years. The auditee may list the amount of federal awards expended for each of the awards separately at a minimum. Schedule shall list individual federal programs, federal agencies, federal programs, including the cluster of the programs. List individual federal programs shall cluster of the programs for the research and development for the total award expended for this shall be shown either an individual award of the federal agency major, the subdivision with the federal agency, for example, the National Institution of High Health, and major subdivision of the Department of Health and Human Services. 3 for the 2 for the 4 federal awards received and subrecipient the name of the pass-through entity identifying the number assigned for the pass-through entity shall include, providing the total federal awards expanded for each of the individual federal programs of the catalog federal domestic number for the other identifying number that the catalog federal domestic information is not available, including notes that describe the significant accounting policies and preparing in the schedule to extend the practical pass through the entity should identify the schedule of the total amount provided in subrecipients for each of the programs. 6. And including either of the schedule or a note in the schedule of the value of the federal award, spending in the form of the non-cash assistance, the amount of the insurance in effect during the year, the loans and loans guarantees outstanding as the year end, while not required, it is preferable to present the information in the schedule. 315. Audit findings follow-up. Generally, the auditee is responsible for follow-up corrective action of all audit findings. As part of the responsibility, the auditee shall prepare a summary schedule of his prior audit findings. The auditee shall also prepare a corrective action plan of the current year of the auditing findings. The summary schedule of the prior auditing findings of the corrective action planning shall include the reference number of the auditor assigned to the audited findings under the Section 510. Since the summary schedule may be included in the auditing findings for the multiple years, it shall include the fiscal year in which the findings initially occurred. Summary schedule of prior auditing findings. The summary schedule of the prior auditing findings shall report the status of all auditing findings, including the prior auditing schedule of the findings in question costs relatively federal awards. The summary schedule shall also include the audited findings reported in the prior auditing summary schedule of the prior auditing findings, exceptional auditing findings listing corrected in accordance with the paragraph B1 of the section, no longer the valid, no warranting further action in accordance with the paragraph B4 of this section. When auditing findings were corrected, the summary schedule needed only to list the auditing findings and the state of the corrective action was taken. When when the auditing findings were not corrected, were not corrected, or were only partially corrected, the summary schedule shall be described in the plan of corrective action as well as the partial corrective action taken. While the corrective action taken on the significantly part different from the corrective action previously reported in the corrective action plan, in the federal agency pass-through entities and management decisions on the summary schedule provided an explanation. 4. When the auditee believes that the audited findings are no longer valid or do not warrant further action, the reason for the position shall be described in the summary schedule as a valid reason for considering an audit finding is not warranting further action is that all the following have occurred. 2 years have passed since the audit report in which the finding occurred when it's submitted to the Federal Clearinghouse. The federal agency passed through the entities and is currently following up the auditee of the auditee filing. A management decision was not issued. A corrective action plan. At the completion of the audit, the auditee shall prepare a corrective action plan to address each of the following each of the auditing findings, including the current year of the auditor's report. The corrective action plan shall provide the name of the contact persons responsible for the corrective action, the corrective action plan, and the action anticipated completion of data if audited does not agree with the audited findings and believes corrective action is not required. The corrective action plan shall include the explanation of the specific reasons of report submission. 320. Generally, the audit shall be completed with the data collection and described in the paragraph B of the selection reporting package and described in paragraph C of the section shall be submitted within the earlier 30 days after the receipt of the auditor's report, 9 months after the end of the audited period, unless a longer period is agreed in advance to the cognizant oversights of the agency of the audit. However, the official year of the beginning on and before June 30th, 1998, the audit shall be completed with the data collection of the reporting package of the shall be submitted within the earlier 30 days after the receipt of the auditor's report, 13 months after the end of the audited period. Unless restricted on law or regulation, auditee shall be making copies available for the public inspection. Data collection. The auditee shall submit a data collection from which the states whether the auditorship was completed in accordance with this part, provides information about the auditee and the federal programs, and the result of the audit. The form shall be approved by the Office Management Budget, available for the Federal Clearinghouse of the designated by the Office Management and Budget, including the data elements similar to those presented in this paragraph. A senior level representative of the auditee, State Controller, Director of Finance, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Financial Officer shall sign a statement to be concluded as part of the form, certifying that the auditee complied with the requirements of this part, and the form was prepared in accordance with the part. Then this instruction accompanying for the form, the information included for the form in its entirety as are accurate and complete. 2. The data collection form shall include the following data and elements: the type of report of the auditor issued with the financial statement of the auditee, unqualified opinion, qualified opinion, adverse opinion, and disclaimer of the opinion. 2. Where applicable, a statement of the significant deficiencies in internal control was disclosed in the audit of the financial statement and whether any such of the conditions were in material weaknesses. 3. A statement as to whether the audit disclosed non-compliance with the material of the financial statement of the auditee. 4. Where the applicable statement of the significant deficiencies in internal control over the major programs were discussed as the auditor audit with any such conditions, whether material weakness. The type of the report of the auditor is issued on a compliance for the major programs as unqualified opinion, qualified opinion, diverse opinions, and disclaimer opinions. A list of the federal awarding agencies which are receiving a copy of their reporting package pursuant to Section 320D of the Office Management Budget. A yes or no statement as to whether the auditee is qualified as a low-risk auditee under the Section 530 of the Office Management Budget 133. 7. The dollar threshold usually distinguished between the Type 3 and Type A and Type D of the programs defined in Section 520B in Office Management Budget A133. The catalog of federal domestic assistance number of each of the federal program is applicable. The name of each of the federal program for the identification of each of the major program. Individual program within the cluster of the program should be listed in the same level as detail as they were listed in the schedule of expenditures of the federal awards. The amounts expenditures and the schedule for the expenditures of the federal awarded associated with each of the federal program. For each of the federal program, the yes or no statement is whether they were auditing findings in each of the following type of the compliance with the requirements of the total amount of any questioned costs. A, the activities allowed or unallowed. B, the allowable cost principles. C, the cash management. D, the Davis-Bacon Act. E, the eligibility. F, the equipment and real property management. G, the management level effort and earmarking. H, the period of availability of federal funds. I, the procurement of the suspension and debarment. J, program income, the real property acquisition, relocation assistance, reporting, some recipient monitoring, special testing provisions. RT, name and employer identification number, name and title of the certifying official, phone number, signature, date, auditor name and title of the contact person, auditor address, the auditor telephone number, signature, and date. Title 15, when other auditor has either cognizant with the other agencies or the audit. 16, the name of the cognizant oversight agency for the audit determined in accordance with Section 400A and 400B respectively. Using the information included in the reporting package described in paragraph C of the section, the auditor shall complete the applicable sections of the form. The auditor shall sign a statement, including as part of the data and collection for the audit for the form indicates a minimum, and including the source of the information included for the form. The auditor responsibility for information for the form is not substitute for the reporting package described in paragraph C of the section, and the content of the form is limited to data elements prescribed in the Office Management Budget. Reporting package. The reporting package shall include the financial statement schedules, expenditures, federal awards discussed in 310A and 310B of the respectively. 2. The summary schedule of the prior auditing findings discussed in 315B. The auditor report discussed in 505 and the corrective action plan described in 315C. Submission to the clearinghouse. All edits shall submit the federal clearinghouse described in Office Management Budget a single copy of the data collection from the described paragraph of the B and the reporting package described in the paragraph C of the section. Additional submission of the subrecipients in addition with the requirements discussed on paragraph D of this section. Auditees of all recipients shall submit each of the pass-through entities one of the copy of the reporting of the described in paragraph C of the question of the each pass-through the entity schedule findings, the question cost, the disclosed audited findings relating to the federal awards to the pass-through entity provided in the summary schedule of the prior auditing findings reported for the status of any auditing findings related to the federal awards that passed through the entity provided. Instead of submitting the report package to the passing through the entity with the subrecipient is not required to submit a reporting package to pass through the entity pursuant to section paragraph E1 of this section. The subrecipient shall provide a written notification to the pass through the entity that the audits of the subrecipient is conducted in accordance with this part, including the period covered over by the auditee, the name and the amount of the catalog federal domestic number of the federal awards provided in the pass through the entity, and the scheduled findings in question, costs disclosed, and no audit of the findings relating to the federal awards that passed through the entity provided with the summary schedule of the prior auditing findings did not report on the status of any audited findings relating to the federal award that passed through the entity, and provided that the subrecipients must submit or comply with the reporting package described in paragraph C of this section of the pass-through entity to comply with the notification requirements. After the request for the report of the copies in response to the request for the federal agency that passed through the any auditee shall submit the appropriate copies of the reporting package described in paragraph C of the section if the requested copy of any management letter is issued by the auditors. G. The report of the retention requirements auditee shall keep one of the copy of the data collection for the described in paragraph B of the section, one of the copy of the reporting package described in paragraph C of the section on the file of the 3 years of the data submission of the federal clearinghouse. Designated by the Office Management Budget, the pass-through entity shall keep the subrecipient's submission on the file of the 3 years from the date of the receipt. The clearinghouse responsibility of the Federal Clearinghouse designated Office Management shall distribute the report of the package received in accordance with the paragraph D2, the section 3235C to applicable federal awarding agencies maintain a database and completed with the audits provided with the appropriate information. Federal agencies follow up within the known auditees which have not submitted the required data collection forms and reporting packages. Clearinghouse address: the address of the Federal Clearinghouse, currently designated Office Management Budget of the Federal Audit Clearinghouse Bureau, the Census of 1201 E 10th Street of Jefferson, Indiana 47132. Electric filing: there is nothing that is part shall preclude electronic submission to the Federal Clearinghouse in such a manner that it may be approved by the Office Management Budget. With Office Management Budget, the Federal Clearinghouse may pilot test methods of the electronic submission.